What is going on? Another Giants game, another Giants loss, losing the same way that they've been losing, right? They pull you in for the whole game, and look, can be totally mad. We are getting a lot of what we wanted this year, which is more competitive football. And there are no moral victories in the NFL, but I guess if you wanted to sell it a certain way, you could say there's that slight progress because there's a lot of games last year that we weren't even competitive in. So at least this year we are competitive in pretty much all the games, which is a step forward. And then maybe next year we could actually win the games. Um, but we got to the point now where, I mean, first of all, Dart was out. Um, and so there really wasn't too much to watch. Yes, I was excited to see Jameis Winston play. I think he earned the right to play. He's a great teammate. He's been a cheerleader for the team, and he definitely earned the right to play. And I thought he prayed. I thought he played pretty. He definitely prayed pretty well, but he also played pretty well. The interception at the end of the game was not his fault. Hyatt quit on the route. Now I could kind of understand what Hyatt was trying to do. Okay, he saw the soft zone, and he wanted to sit down in that kind of spot where it was open instead of finishing his route into where the defender was. But you can't do that unless you've already talked about it with the quarterback, which obviously he didn't. So Jameis Winston thinks he's running a corner route. He throws the ball to the spot. Hyatt doesn't finish his route, and it gets picked off. Now, to be honest, it wasn't a great, if Hyatt had finished his route, at best it was going to be a 50-50 ball that was going to probably get knocked down, and at worst it was going to get intercepted anyway. And look, you could pick how the Giants were going to lose the game anyway. Even if they got that touchdown, even if they got a touchdown on the next play, whatever it is, uh, and the Giants were going to go for two, which was the right call because you're 2-8. I mean, we really going to play overtime? Like, come on. So you go for two, and it doesn't really matter. Giants were going to lose. It's just how they were going to lose, right? So in this particular case, we got the interception that loses the game right there. Had we scored the touchdown, we probably would have went for two, not gotten it, would have lost that way. Or maybe I would say the other option was we kick the field goal and miss kick the extra point and miss it, and we'd lose that way. But it's already been said that they would have went for two, so we probably would go for two, miss the 2 points, and lose by 1 point anyway. Um, or we get the 2 point conversion, so now we're actually winning. But come on, I think they left more than a minute on the clock with 2 timeouts or 3 timeouts for the Packers. I mean, we really don't think they could have gone down and scored a touchdown in that time. They absolutely could have. And even if we had stopped them, say at the 45-yard line or 35-yard line, so they have to kick a 45-yard field goal. Nobody was making field goals the whole game. Guarantee you that would have been a 45-yard right down the middle kick for a game winner that would have lost us the game. So either way, we were losing the game anyway. We're beyond wins and losses now. We just want to see what players, should be here next year. Jameis Winston could be is going to be the backup. We'll see what we have in him. Maybe we sign Isaiah Hodgins as a depth player for wide receiver. You know, we're looking at some different players for a cornerback at depth, and that's really what the rest of this year is about, and getting more reps for Dart, who I do think should sit the Lions game out because then I think the Giants have a bye, and then he can come back after that, so he'd get like 3 weeks worth of rest, and that's nice. Probably won't do that though. If Dart can play, he's gonna play. Um, but yeah, I mean the game is basically what you would expect, and as I've been saying with a lot of these losses that the Giants have had this year, this says more about the opponent than the Giants. Okay, we know the Giants are bad. We know they're gonna lose, but come on, Packers. Like they're all happy. Like, oh, we won. Like you're not going anywhere. Stop it. First of all, the Lions. They're gonna dominate the entire division. You could barely, and at certain points, you were losing to the Giants, who have just fired their head coach. They have an interim head coach. You have technically on paper third string quarterback playing, no wide receivers, no defensive secondary, no pass rush, and you could only beat the Giants by 7 points. I know they had some drops and stuff, and it was a windy day, but really, you can only beat the Giants by 7 points. And there's a small chance that if we didn't have a guy named Jalen Hyatt as a wide receiver, probably could maybe have won the game. Maybe. So, like, where are you going? All right. So here's my opinion: Packers are frauds. The Broncos are frauds. The Colts are frauds. I'm trying to think who else. But just off the top of my head, those teams are frauds. Okay, particularly the Broncos and the Colts. They're frauds. They've had an easy schedule. They don't play anybody good. Okay, their pass rush is good. Yeah, they got a majority of the pass rush sacks in 2 games. Okay, they're not good. And same thing with Daniel Jones. They've had an easy schedule, the Colts, and they have a good, well-rounded team. So of course it's going to perform well. None of these teams are going to do anything in the playoffs. They're all going to be bounced out of the playoffs, sitting on the couch, just like the Giants, right? Packers might not even make it. I don't know if there's going to be a wild card coming out of the NFC North, maybe. Um, but the Bears are another one. They're frauds, right? They're like 6-3 or something. They're not that. I don't know if they won or lost yesterday, but a lot of fraudulent teams. But getting back to it, and so the Giants are honestly in a no lose situation now. It's because like if we win a game, we go. Guys lost to the Giants, and if we lose, right? Especially if we don't lose by a lot, it's like, yeah, well, we were supposed to lose. I mean, we're going to lose all games anyway, so we get a better draft pick. So there's really no winning. Like, if your team plays the Giants, I guess it's a free win, but that's how I view it. It's like, you beat the Giants, like, nothing to get excited about it. If you beat the Giants and if you lose to the Giants, like, that's embarrassing. Uh, as far as the rest of the situations go, so, I mean, Kafka, I thought, mostly made the right calls. I didn't see the challenge that he lost. I think it was before I turned the game on. So people were saying that was a dumb challenge. Okay. I think everything else was pretty much the right call, except for the right before the 2 minute warning, we did the fake kneel, throw the ball, which was ridiculous. First of all, they knew you hiked the ball to kneel it. What? Why would you do that? If you wanted to run the clock down to 2 minutes, you just wouldn't hike the ball. So it didn't fool anybody. And even if it did fool them, so let me get this straight at the end of the game. So you want to score a touchdown and leave the Packers with 2 minutes left to go down. I mean, have you learned nothing? The idea should have been you just let the clock run to 2 minutes. After the 2 minute warning, you come back, you run the ball again, you get that clock going again, and you just run that clock down. I mean, that's what they were doing all game. The Giants, they always do things wrong. Every other offensive drive is like 80,000 plays to move down the field and takes like 5 minutes. But all of a sudden, at the end of the game, when you need 80,000 plays and to take 5 minutes off the clock, now all of a sudden, it was like 3 or 4 plays, and all of a sudden, we were in Packer territory. We're at the 30-yard line. Like, whoa. Right? And this is when you needed to run the clock down. That was really his only mistake, I thought, which ended up not biting them anyway. But a little bit of clock mismanagement there at the end, because I don't think he was really thinking about that. I think he was thinking more about, hey, what are the best plays I can call to get us a touchdown? I don't think he was trying to both get a touchdown but also run the clock down. So, and then, yeah, they were a couple run plays and they threw that pass and got intercepted. And I knew the interception was coming, right? You knew it. And I know it wasn't Winston's fault on that one, but there was like 4 others that could have been intercepted that would have been his fault. So that was just kind of like karma getting to him. As far as the defense goes, I mean, it's the same old story. We could have lost by, maybe at least another touchdown if the Packers didn't have all those drops. And of course, typical Giants fashion, guys are wide open on the Packers, they drop it. But that guy who is almost in triple coverage catches a touchdown. The same guy who Jordan Love basically just closed his eyes and threw it to the end zone. Deontay Banks right there with his arm in it, but can't make the play. And then Jordan Love did the same thing on a third down, or he held the ball for I don't know how long, and then again he's just like, and he just throws the ball, somewhere down the field. You know who he's throwing it to. Guy was clearly covered and just makes the play because Giants cornerbacks only have 2 modes. I'm not going to look at the ball and I'm going to get a pass interference penalty, or I'm going to turn to look at the ball, at which point I won't be able to cover the receiver anymore and he'll make the catch. Those are basically their 2 modes. So what's next for the Giants? Well, we'll see. I think with Kafka, so obviously he can't go 7-0 now. If he goes 6-1, he gets the Giants job. If he goes 5-2, he is the leading candidate to get the Giants job, but I think they're going to bring in people. I mean, they're going to bring in people no matter what, but I think he'll be the leading candidate, and they'll bring in people. At 4-3, he'll be a candidate, but not the leading candidate. And then anything worse than 4-3, he's going to be gone, and they're just going to clean house. And I don't care either way. They can keep him, or we can clean house. I think Dart is good enough to learn, continue to grow, and all that without having continuity, because I don't think any of the stuff that Dart has done that's made us good has been coaching. Right? It's not like there's a coach that's like scheming guys open and they're no. It's mostly Dart making really accurate throws, which you can't really coach, and extending plays off schedule and making throws, which again, that's athleticism and feel for the game. So, I don't think there's anything that the coaches are doing that's extraordinary with him. So I hope he'll be fine with another coach. But yeah, so now it's just, I guess this is the best situation you could be in, which is play competitive games so that they're not boring to watch. The game wasn't really boring. We were in it. Hodgins made some nice plays, but being competitive games so it's not boring for the viewers to watch. Ultimately lose those games because then we get a better draft pick and we get closer to having a new coach and potentially a new GM, which is what everybody wants because he's going to be evaluated at the end of the year. And obviously, if the Giants lose most of their remaining games, he probably won't be back. And I said this in a video. I think it's hard to evaluate Shane with the way the coaching was, and we'll get a slight insight into if it was coaching or GM with the next 6 more games. But I don't really care whether he's fired or retained. I think there are bigger problems than that. But that's it. So not much to talk about now because it's over for the Giants. We're basically just playing for better draft position and to evaluate players for next year, and then getting some reps for Dart. And hopefully we can reload next year and be ready to go. Although I'm sure in typical Giants fashion, something will go wrong with that, whether it'll be, hey, we finally have Neighbors and Scatterboo back and we start playing and they're not 100%, so they don't look that good, or they look great and then like Dart gets injured in the beginning of the season and now Dart's out for the whole season. So, I'm sure that'll be the next Giants hex that'll be put on them for next year. But for now, in my opinion, keep Dart on a bench for now until after the bye. Let's watch another week of Jameis Winston, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully we get some competitive games, but we ultimately lose. Helps the draft pick, and like I said, helps for a coaching and GM turnover, which is what a lot of people want. So we'll see.